welcome to the farm. It's time again for our annual book club lunch. I'm going to be gathering in some ingredients for the lunch from Tavis's Mushrooms up in Cumberland, and then it's down to Osceola to the Philadelphia Community Farm for some vegetables. But first, I've got Dr. J coming out to help me dehorn some calves. Gather with us around the farm table. I'm your host, Inga Witcher.
Gather with us around the farm table.
A few years ago, I moved up to Wisconsin. I started an organic dairy farm at St. Isidore's Mead. That's when I discovered the abundance of Midwestern local food and small-scale farmers, growing everything from green zebra tomatoes to pasture pork. I'm taking a break from the cows, hitting the road, and seeing if I can't satisfy my epicurious appetite.
Oh.
That's great. This is amazing.
Around the Farm Table is funded in part by Wisconsin Farmers Union, Heartland Credit Union, and Friends of Wisconsin Public Television.
Morning, Inga.
Hey, Jay. I want to get some dehorning done. And there's a little bit of controversy, it seems, that surrounds dehorning when I have people out to the farm and they think, oh, it's kind of scary.
These horns, if they're left on animals, they actually become weapons.
Sure.
The animals had these horns at one point to defend themselves as well as their calves from predators, but the way we've raised animals and confined them today, the horns are usually more detrimental than they are of benefit to the animal.
I know I have a few cows that love to come up to me when I'm out in the pasture and just scratch their heads against my legs, and I'm glad that I dehorned them because I think that could really be painful for me.
Yeah, and what's plain to a cow is often painful to a human, yeah.
Exactly. Now, is there a better time to dehorn the calves?
The younger the animal is, the better. The horn starts out as a very small bud. As that animal grows, the horn gets larger, it's more tissue that has to be removed, and it becomes more involved with the bone of the skull as well. So usually the younger the animal is, the less painful it is.
Do you see any dairy farms using polled genetics?
Some do, whether they're conventional or organic. Polled refers to animals that actually are born without horns or the tissue to grow the horns, and it's a simple dominant gene. It's very easy to select for it, but animals that have had this gene in the past usually have produced less milk or fat or protein levels. So that's why it hasn't been as widely adopted in dairy breeds as it has in many of our beef breeds. A lot of our production parameters have become very efficient, so polledness is kind of like the icing on the cake. If they can get an animal that propagates those genes as well as good production, then it's just something else that can be marketed, as well as advantageous, because then we don't have to do this procedure anymore either.
All right, well, let's get started with the calves. I'm going to finish up here with Jay, and then let's go up and invite the author of our book club selection this month, Nicholas Butler, down for lunch. Hey, Nick, how are you doing?
Hey, Inga, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
My book club had just finished Shotgun Love Song. We loved it, and we were hoping to have you down to our annual book club lunch.
Oh, I love that. Inga, my family and I are huge fans of the show, so yeah, I'd be honored.
Oh, good. Well, this is going to be great, and I hope that the meal turns out perfect.
I hope so too.
What kind of inspiration do you draw on from living in Wisconsin with your writing?
Yeah, I mean, I think an obvious thing is the landscape and the seasons, but a big thing for me is sense of family, friends, being part of a community. And in this book, I was interested in exploring, what small town community looks like and how friendships sort of change and evolve over the years. So.
Sure, yeah. I'm not from Wisconsin originally, and living here, it is really all those things you just said. I mean, I've never felt this much community in anywhere I've ever lived, and just the changing of the seasons. I think it has to inspire you because you're just so, for me anyway, I'm so excited to get through the spring and still be alive.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. It can be kind of hard as a writer, frankly, when summer rolls around and the last thing you want to do is be stuck inside behind your computer. But then winter is great for that. My dad always used to tell me that the Russians were the best novelists because they had these long winters to stay inside and work. So, I think fall for me is the best. It's dramatic. I love the temperature, so I love Wisconsin seasons. Yeah.
One thing you just said, people must say to you a lot, like, it must just be amazing to be a writer. And people come to me and say a lot and say, oh, I wish I could just be a farmer. But I think what you just said is a lot of it is sitting down and writing.
Yeah.
And a lot of what I do is just cleaning up manure. So I don't think we have the glamorous lives.
Writing can be cleaning up manure too. I mean, there's a lot of bad sentences that come out. But no, I think the most important thing is that everyone can write. Most of us can read. So the hard work ends up being just sitting down in front of your computer and doing the work when you don't want to, when you're tired at the end of the day, when when you've worked a long job or when your kids have worn you out or whatever it is, and you just have to be obsessed with it. It has to be what you want to do most. So
similar to farming.
Yeah, right. It's a passion.
Well, great, Nick. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you later on. Give me a couple hours to go get ingredients and get this lunch made. Come on down when you're ready.
Sounds good. Thanks, Inga.
Well, let's head on up to Cumberland to pick up some mushrooms from Tavis's Mushroom Farm, and then we'll head on down to Philadelphia Community Farm for some vegetables for our lunch. Well, I've made it up to Cumberland, and I'm excited to talk to Tavis about how to grow amazing mushrooms. And I'm really excited about taking them home and having them be one of the star ingredients in today's lunch. Hi there, Tavis. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Good. This is the most magical woodlands I've ever been in my life.
Well, thank you.
Beautiful. It's a lot bigger than I thought. How much mushrooms are you growing here?
We'll do about 8,000 to 10,000 pounds this year.
That's quite a bit. And it takes a team, right?
I've got a team of about 10 people right now.
Now, this mushrooming is kind of a generational thing for you, isn't it?
It is. My father learned from his mother, I learned from him, and my daughter learns from me.
That's great. I love a family business. Now, tell me a little bit about it. This is something that's always interested me. I'm a mushroom novice, but how do you start growing mushrooms? Like if I was going to do it in my backyard.
We harvest these logs in the winter when the wood is dormant and alive.
Okay.
We store it until spring, and then we push in mushroom spawn into about 60 holes that we've drilled into logs, wax them shut, let them incubate for a year, and then the mushrooms will fruit the following spring.
Why do you have to wax them shut?
It keeps out invading microorganisms and it keeps water in.
And then you just wait and you get mushrooms?
Then you wait.
Now, how often do you have to harvest the mushrooms?
They'll fruit heavily like this about 6 times per year.
It's pretty labor intensive though, because it's all hand done.
With this many logs, it's constant.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost daily.
Mm-hmm. How did you choose the varieties of mushrooms that you're growing?
Flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shiitake's a favorite, so I definitely wanted to go with that. We do a wine cap mushroom also. I did that because it's easy and it's quick. And then I do an oyster mushroom just because of demand.
And they're beautiful too, aren't they?
Gorgeous, yes.
Now, I'm here to pick up some mushrooms from you. When I take them home, or if somebody's at the farmer's market and they get mushrooms from you there, how do you store them?
Cool, dry place. Brown bag or a basket works great.
Okay.
Refrigerator.
So easy. There's I don't have to be too
Nope.
intense, and the flavor's still going to be there.
Nope, and they've got a shelf life of about 30 days.
That's quite a long time.
Yeah.
People can just come to the farm to get the mushrooms from you, or where do you sell?
Out the front door sales. I've got a couple of farmers markets, one in Barron, one in Cumberland,
Nice.
and then a few restaurants in the area.
Wow, what a great way to make a living.
Yeah,
Well, super. Well, I'm going to grab some mushrooms from you so I can get back and make some lunch.
fantastic.
Good afternoon.
Hi, welcome, Inga.
How are you doing today?
Doing well.
Good. The pigs are looking cute in here with all the greenery. and
They
flowers.
are growing. I think they'll have this mowed down in no time, actually.
Well, I wanted to stop by. I'm gathering some ingredients for a lunch that I'm putting on later, but I want to know a little bit more about your farm because it's a different style of farm, really.
Community is really what it's built around, and we have been a nonprofit since 1989, so that allows us to have a lot of education. So folks come here and take part in the gardening, take workshops, and hold their own retreats.
And what a great space to be able to be in. It's the energy
It's a
here at the
healing
farm is
space.
just such, it's so wonderful and calm.
Ever since the 20s, it used to be owned by a doctor, and he brought people here to convalesce and retreat and get well.
Oh, I feel healthier just arriving. Well, listen, I got to get back to the farm soon. So can you walk me to where the vegetables are?
Yeah, let's go find Farmer Carter up in the garden. At the beginning of the farm had a social justice aspect to it. And now we reinvigorated it with the practical arts and training of our interns whom we live and work with. So right now we have 4 young people on site training as farmers and gardeners, and also some classes in wellness and spirituality, which work really well for the farm.
And this must be the vegetable
Here's
guy.
Farmer Carter.
Hi there, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Well, I've come to find out more about vegetables and maybe get some for lunch.
Excellent. Well, come this way.
Nice to talk to you, Christina.
Thank you.
So, one of the important things for you here at your farm is being biodynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how is that different from being certified organic or anything else?
Well, that's a good question, and I hear that a lot. In a nutshell, biodynamic farming, I guess you could say it's organic farming with a bit of a spiritual twist.
So, you said there's differences between biodynamic farming and, say, organic farming or conventional farming. Can you give me an example of how it's different?
Well, actually, right here we have an example of one of the differences. You know, biodynamic farming,
It's a horn.
we try to gather in some of the cosmic energy that's all around us to use in our farm, to help our farm be a healthier, more dynamic farm. And one of the ways that we do that is we'll take a horn like this, we'll pack it full of raw cow manure, and then we'll bury it in the ground in the fall. And then this horn will stay all winter long under the ground, and it'll gather in these cosmic forces that go around like in a big vortex all the way down to the compost that's down at the bottom of the horn. And then this time of year, we dig these up and gather this material, and then we use this in our preparations to go out on our field to help our farm be a nice, healthy, active farm.
Spreading around the energy of the farm.
Yes.
Now, who started the concept of biodynamic farming?
It was a guy by the name of Rudolf Steiner. He was a guy from Europe. He's born in Austria. He did a lot of work in Germany. Steiner was the same guy who developed the Waldorf experiment.
Waldorf. Okay, that's right. All right. Now, what kind of a record-keeping system do you have to kind of prove that you're biodynamic?
To be certified biodynamic, it's a very similar system as the organic, what it would take to be certified organic.
So just tons of writing things down and writing things down. Yeah.
Yes.
Have you seen real benefits to your farm because of the biodynamic, or do you see benefits to yourself and the interns and just the life cycle of your farm?
It's a nice practice for me to be involved with, and that's what I'm shooting for right now.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, I tell you, the guys that are making lunch for are going to get a kick out of the fact that they have this wonderful cosmic energy going into their food, and I think it's going to make it taste extra delicious. So you have got the CSA here. I'm hoping to kind of see what you guys have in your spring boxes and take some back for lunch.
Sure, let's go take a look.
The asparagus looks great, Carter. And I just have one more question about biodynamic. I'm really kind of getting interested in this now. It's kind of a fun thought. How does the calendar affect the farming, the planting cycle? Because that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's another biodynamic principle, is that certain parts of the plant are affected by the certain positions of the bodies that are up in the sky at night, the moon and the planets and the constellations. So some alignments affect the roots, some affect the leaf, and some affect the flowers, fruit. And so we use our special calendar to line things up and plant things in the right order.
I'd like to add a little bit more color to my lunch. By any chance, is there anything in the greenhouse that's a little bit brighter in color?
Like sun gold cherry tomatoes?
Like that would be perfect.
Sure, let's go look.
Oh, these are fantastic, and they're going to look beautiful with my lunch. And speaking of lunch, we got to get back to the farm so we can get everything ready before the guys arrive. There's over 1,000 wild mushroom varieties here in the state of Wisconsin. 300 of those are perfectly edible, fine to eat. 300 are also poisonous. There's over 400 that are unknown, and 5 varieties are deadly. So before you go out in the woods and start collecting, make sure that you find a guy like Tavis to teach you the difference. And since I don't know the difference, that's why I went right to Tavis to get these beautiful shiitake mushrooms we're using today. I wanted to really showcase the shiitakes in a recipe, so I decided on a simple mushroom soup. That way the flavor can really come out and stand on its own. To start with, we're going to dice an onion and add some garlic and get the soup off to a good start. Set your soup pot over medium heat and then add a little bit of oil. And then just slide the onions right in the pan and get them cooking. And that's going to make your house smell amazing. Okay, I think I'm going to do, let's see, 2 cloves of garlic for this soup, maybe 3. Maybe we'll go 3 since I just need to get rid of it here. And then just dice these up. All right, and give your onions a stir here. This is like the first step in creating the flavor base of this soup. So I like the onions to kind of caramelize to the bottom and give me a little bit of a layer to work with. Smells good. Okay, add the garlic. Okay, and now for the mushrooms. With the shiitake mushrooms, the stems can be pretty tough, so you don't want to add those to the soup, or else even after we puree the soup down, you're going to be getting chunks of shiitake stock, and it's just not going to be a great experience. So they're easy enough to pull off, so it's no big deal. And look at this, it's just a beautiful color, and they just are so fresh feeling and smelling, and I think this is going to be a fantastic soup. So once you've got the stems off, go ahead and cut them up pretty small. That's going to help puree it nicely. Although, you know, when you puree the soup, you don't want to puree it all the way down because a few chunks are nice. It makes it feel homemade. Now that the onions and the garlic have cooked down a little bit, I can start adding my mushrooms to the pot. I'm just getting them going. I can actually smell the mushrooms. The earthiness of the mushrooms is coming, wafting up, and not overpowering the garlic and onion smell, but it's definitely standing out, which is just so neat. It's so nice working with really fresh ingredients. It just changes, it's a game changer. When people come to my house for dinner, they're like, oh, that's really good. Like you must have been cooking all your life. And no, I just used really good ingredients. All right, now we'll stir in the mushrooms and let them cook down for 10 minutes and we'll see how it goes from there. As the mushrooms cook down, they're gonna release some of the moisture, and that's what you're kind of looking for. You want that moisture to evaporate so the flavors can condense, giving it a better flavor for the soup. The mushrooms have cooked down, they've almost reduced by half, and now we can start building the other flavors of the soup. So there's gonna be a little bit of brown bits at the bottom of the soup, and I'm gonna lift those brown bits up with some wine. Stir your mushrooms around a little bit to move everything out of the way, and then pour a little wine in and scrape the bottom of that pan to get all the bits up. And the wine's gonna add a nice flavor too to the soup. Just a few splashes of wine just to get things moving. Alrighty, that looks good. Okay, now I'm ready to add my vegetable broth. I prefer vegetable broth. That way the flavors just don't get muckied up. Okay. And my next ingredient is gonna be thyme. So you take you don't want to add the stems of the thyme, just the leaves. So just take them and brush them off into here. All right, I'm adding a lot of thyme to this because that's the other wonderful herb that's going to flavor the soup. Give that a swirl and then leave that to cook down and come together for about 20 minutes or so. And while that soup does come together, I've got another element of the lunch, which is a soka. It's made with chickpea flour, so it's gonna be a gluten-free, which I'm sure these guys are not concerned about at all. So let me just get cleaned up here, get the oven preheated, and we'll start on the soka. The soka is really simple. 1 cup of chickpea flour, 1 cup of lukewarm water, right into there. And then you're gonna whisk this together just to get all the lumps out too. And this is a very versatile recipe too. Like, you can mix things in if you wanna mix some herbs into your batter, whatever you wanna do, have fun with it. And I'm gonna serve this with some greens and some lettuces on top. You can just eat it as is with a little bit of pesto. Now this mixed up really nice, so now I'm just gonna add a little bit of olive oil, about 2 tablespoons. I'm gonna eyeball it. And a pinch of salt, and stir that in. The consistency that you're looking for is heavy whipped cream. So not, you know, it's a nice consistency, but it's gonna be very light and battery. All right, well that's the consistency that I wanted it to be. I'm gonna let this sit and rest for a little bit while my cast iron skillet heats up in the oven, and then we'll be ready for the next step. Okay, so this was in the oven preheating and it's really, really hot and heavy, but I'm just gonna put a few tablespoons of olive oil in this hot pan, swirl it around a bit, and then put my batter in here to start cooking. And here we go. Look at that sizzle. Now swirl this around your pan and get it back under the broiler for about 5 minutes. All right, this is looking really good. So see how it's just nice and lightly browned on the top? That's what we're looking for. And it's separated from the pan, so I know I used enough oil. Now this is kind of, everyone just cross their fingers and make sure this didn't stick to the bottom. Ooh, it did a little. It's gonna be worth it. Hold on. And we got most of it. And that's better than nothing. Okay, let me get this pan out of my way. So we're just gonna assemble it back together. No one will know. And put it in the center of our plate. Now when it's still hot, it's ready to just get all the juices that it needs to have. So what I'm gonna do is I have a pesto that I made and froze from last summer. Pesto freezes really well, so make sure you make a bunch in the summertime so you've got it all year long. So spread this out nice and evenly all over the bottom of this. On top of the pesto, I'm gonna add a little bit of arugula from the garden here. Nice and pretty. And then I took Carter's asparagus and then I just boiled it, stuck it in some cold water, stopped the cooking, and cut it up into nice bite-sized pieces. This is gonna be perfect on top of this. And this is a nice springy dish with the arugula and the asparagus. Kalamata olives are gonna give this a nice bite. I could eat red onions like apples, so I put them on everything I can. A little bit of shaved Parmesan. Goat cheese would be nice on this too. And let's get some of these sun golds going. I think I'll just put these in half. Spread them about. I like these recipes that are really versatile, so whatever is in the garden you can put on here. Sun-dried tomatoes would be great. You can just mix and match to your little heart's desires and it'll be perfect for you. Little lemon zest is gonna go on the top of this. I just love lemon zest. Then we're gonna cut this lemon in half. Give it a good squeeze on top. And a little bit of olive oil. And salt and pepper too. Now I'm gonna cut these into wedges before I serve them. But first I've gotta finish the soup off. So salt and pepper, and then this is gonna go to the side until the soup is finished. So now to finish up the soup, it's very simple, but it's the most important part. I'm gonna puree the soup so that it's a nice silky texture, and this is gonna get messy, so bear with me. I love these immersion blenders, it just makes things so nice. The mushrooms are breaking up nicely. Well, that's looking really delicious. I wanna kinda leave some bigger chunks just to get that homemade feel and to have a nice succulent bite of a larger piece of the mushroom. The most important part of this soup making is to add lots of butter and cream at the end of it. This is what makes soup taste good, or this soup anyway. And then you can go jogging afterwards if you feel like it, that's fine too. But I think it makes the flavors so nice, and butter makes everything taste better. I always say it, but it's true. Incorporate the butter in. And next is the cream. You don't have to over cream it. I think that's perfect. It's a nice color for me. And then lots of pepper for me is what I prefer. A little bit of salt. Stir that all in. And I think we're done just in time because I can hear the tractors arriving the driveway, which means the guys are here for lunch. Look at that, guys.
Dinner was served on vast, long tables that had been erected out in a nearby field. We drank wine and chatted, ate pheasant and gnocchi, and greens and fresh, warm bread.
Spring has sprung, decadent, delicious, and downright good. Creamy shiitake mushroom soup. Soka, crisp, crusty, and toasty, topped with basil pesto and spicy spring arugula. Rosé pairs nicely with the spring soka, or for the young'uns, try ice-cold milk.
Well, I hope the next time you have your friends over for a book club party, you'll make homemade soup and soka. And I hope you'll gather with us next time
Around the farm table.
I'm your host, Inga Witcher.
Around the Farm Table is funded in part by Wisconsin Farmers Union, Heartland Credit Union, and Friends of Wisconsin Public Television.